A guten Erev Shabbos. Welcome back to Reb Yankele's podcast. Parshas Vayishlach. Parshas Hashavua. So many lessons. People talking about Yaakov Avinu preparing himself for Esav with tefillah, with matanas, with melchama. But let's focus on another point in this parsha. After the whole story occurs, Esav Arasha leaves, Mipnei Yaakov Achiv, he leaves, and he goes to Har Seir. And Rashi on the spot tells us, Divrei Chazal, that Esav Arasha left for a very particular reason. Esav Arasha understood that in order to gain Olam Haba, there is a certain process, there's a certain travel itinerary that one has to go through in Olam Hazeh. That a person has to go through the Asara Nisyonos in order to reach the destination. That Klal Yisrael, in order for them to reach their goal, will have to go through the Dalet Golios. They will have to go through Mitzrayim. Esav Arasha says, Mipnei Yaakov Achiv, he leaves, he says, excuse me, but I'm not up for this. I'm going to Har Seir. But Reb Yankele tells us that somebody once asked him an incredible kasha. We know that Shevet Levi was never under the horrible conditions Klal Yisrael suffered in Mitzrayim. They were not meshubed to work through the suffering in Mitzrayim. They didn't suffer in Mitzrayim. How is it then that Shevet Levi has a chelik v'nachla in Eretz Yisrael? How is it then that we see that a Levi, even though they were not given their own nachla in Eretz Yisrael, but they were given their own properties and they have to bring bikurim because of it? How is it that they have a chelik in Klal Yisrael? How is it that they have not only a chelik in the Torah, but Moshe Rabbeinu was a Levi? Aharon and his Kohanim and Leviim stood closer to Har Sinai than the others. How is it that not only did they not lose out for not being part of the Shibud Mitzrayim, but they maybe even actually got a bigger part in Klal Yisrael, in Torah's Moshe? But the answer is so clear, so obvious. The answer is that we know that why did Shevet Levi not suffer in Mitzrayim? Because Shevet Levi, when Paroi came to Klal Yisrael and said, maybe you should start working for me, I will pay you. And as we know, the paying turned into pain. Levi immediately said no. Levi said, I'm already meshubed to the Torah. I'm already meshubed. My time is already meshubed and occupied by being Mekayim Torah mitzvahs. And because of that, because they never entered that deal with Paroi, they never suffered through Golus Mitzrayim. In other words, the contrast couldn't be more stark. Esav Arasha said, no thank you. So he loses out on everything. Shevet Levi said, I'm already taken. I'm already Meshubet. I'm already a Eved Hashem. I can't be a Eved to Paroi, because I am already a Eved to Hashem v'Toirasoi. The Mishnah in Avos tells us, no one is as free as someone who is meshubed and is a Eved to the Torah. And let's go to another level. We know the Torah tells us that we're born to go through whatever we have to go through. We are born to go through challenges. We need to have Yisurim. And we're not going to go into the depth of understanding of how we're being misaken ourselves and it brings the ultimate ticking for us, for the world. Important things to talk about. But for now, I think it's a general idea that people with an understanding accept that it is indeed true that we have to go through certain things in this life. But how beautiful does the Mishnah put it to us? If one accepts, what does Shevet Levi show us? If one understands and appreciates the fact that one can accept the old Torah, one can accept the Avdos, the service to Hashem and to His Torah, then we can turn our challenges from being mere painful episodes in life, to instead be meshubed to the Torah and whatever challenges it brings with it. Not only will we with that suffice any challenges that we must go through, but we will actually be rewarded for it too. There's an incredible story. There was a fellow who lived in Vienna. And in that time in Vienna, there were many doctors, professors, and people from all over the country and neighboring countries would come and visit with their sick loved ones. And of course, they had to pay a lot of money to go into these doctors and to be seen. And many of these people did not have the money, and the little that they had, they spent on the medication and the doctors, so they ended up having no money to afford accommodations. And there was one Yid in Vienna, a wealthy fellow, who realized that this is an incredible opportunity for him to do the biggest chesed possible. And he took in anyone who needed an accommodation, no matter how long they were there for, no matter their needs. He always took them in and provided for them. After a while, however, his Bnei Bayis, his wife, she didn't feel comfortable. She felt that there was no privacy in the home, that they had an open house, they didn't really have a home. But he didn't know what to do. From the one side, he sees the incredible chesed that he's doing. On the other side, here's his Bnei Bayis telling him that this is not the right thing to do. And then the Chafetz Chaim came to the Knessia Gedoyle to Vienna. And he decided that he'll go ask the Chafetz Chaim what to do. He went over to the host that was hosting the Chafetz Chaim at the time. And the Chafetz Chaim at the time was in the middle of breakfast. So the host told him, wait till after breakfast and then I'll introduce you. The Chafetz Chaim, as he writes in Mishnah Berurah, was saying, Mizmor LeDavid Hashem Roy Lo Echsa at the end of his Suda before benching. The Chafetz Chaim goes through the kapitel Gam Kielech Begeit Salmaves Lo Iro Kiatu Emodi Shiftecha Mishantecha Heme Nachmuni Tarech Lefanai Shilcha Neged Soyoroi Di Shamta Bashem Aroishi Koisir Avoy Achtoi Vachesed Yerdefuni Kol Yamei Chayai Veshafti Beveis Hashem Lo Irech Yomim. And the Chafetz Chaim, as if to himself, starts going through this mizmoy. And he says, we know Adam la'amal yulad. We know, Chazal tell us, that somebody could turn gold into garbage. An idiot can turn gold into garbage. And a pikeach can turn garbage into gold. And the Chafetz Chaim says, as if to himself, when someone is given in this world an opportunity to do chesed with others, to have wealth and use it to do chesed with others and give to others, what an incredible opportunity to take something that has only a shallow earthly value and turn that in to ultimate reward. How unfortunate for one who takes his wealth and only uses it for one's own pleasure. But the Chafetz Chaim doesn't end there. And the Chafetz Chaim continued, and he said, even more so, what if this comes with incredible suffering? What if the guest that this host is hosting make him go through more challenges than he anticipated? Or maybe the other people in the home are suffering from the fact that the house is an open house and doesn't have privacy. The Chafetz Chaim said, how much more so will the reward be? And how much suffering will this family instead avoid by not having to go through the suffering that was intended for them, the challenges that was intended for them, but instead only go through the challenges that they have to go through to fulfill the mitzvah of Achnasas Orchim. And how much more reward will they get? Even before asking the Chafetz Chaim, he had his answer. Sometimes Hashem gives us the opportunity to see that indeed by doing the mitzvah, by learning for another hour, for another 15 minutes, with more kavanah, it will cause us more pain. It will be a bigger challenge for us. But as the Chafetz Chaim taught us, and as we see in this week's Parsha, how much more can we gain, not only by Lefum Tzara Agra, not only by the fact that we will get more reward because it's harder, but how much more pain and suffering can we avoid by taking upon us the oil and the avdos of fulfilling Torah and mitzvahs to the next level. May we all be zoiche to feel the kedusha of Shabbos, the fact that Shabbos shows us that we are all avodim, and every one of our steps, every action that we take, everything that we say, the way that we walk, where we can walk, what we can carry, and so forth, showing us that every action that we do is Avdus Hashem. May we be zoiche to take that with us throughout the week. Thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful Shabbos.